Back we are. Having more fun than a human being should be allowed to have it. As always, half my brain tied behind my back just to make it fair. An outfit called BuzzFeed has listed the 9 lies uncovered accidentally by Maraniss. You know, it is fascinating. Maraniss doesn't understand what he's done here. He thought he was writing an election year Valentine for Obama. And he's pointed up fundamental flaws, very serious misstatements, lies, prevarications, and he doesn't understand why people are focusing on it that way. Right-wing people are cherry-picking it. Exactly. He's just, you know, there's literary license in Memoir. My God. The more we listen to the left, the less reason there ever is for truth. Truth floats, and wherever you want it to be is where it ends up, and whatever you want it to be, it is. So here are the 9 lies. Number 1, as I just mentioned, Hussein Onyango Bongo Obama, Barack's grandfather, was not imprisoned and was not tortured by the Brits, so there's no reason he should hate Churchill or the Brits. The father of his Indonesian stepfather was not killed by Dutch soldiers in the fight for independence. Remember now, this memoir, the entire title of Obama's book, Dreams from My Father, a story of race and inheritance. And the point of this book is what a tough time Obama and his family have had because of race. How unfair the world has been to the Onyango Obongo Obamas because of race. So nothing happened to his grandfather. The father of his Indonesian stepfather was not killed by Dutch soldiers. Regina, a friend at Occidental College who Obama writes about as a symbol of the authentic African-American experience, turns out to be based on Carolina Boss, who is white. Regina was the name of her Swiss grandmother. Remember, I think this is the woman who Obama complained didn't understand the anger of a black man. Number 4, Obama projected a racial incident onto his New York girlfriend that he later told Maraniss had happened in Chicago. Obama wrote that he broke up with his New York girlfriend in part because she was white, but his next girlfriend, an anthropologist in Chicago, was also white. Obama cuts out 2 white college roommates entirely because it didn't advance the racial narrative. Just, they didn't exist. Obama wrote about his half-school friends as alienated, ne'er-do-well, club of disaffection. In fact, most members of the Choom Gang were decent students and athletes who went on to successful careers. They were not reprobates, as he writes about them. Obama's mother left his father, not the other way around. Everybody's of the opinion that Obama's dad ran off. Barack Kardashian Sr. ran away from, it's his mother that left. His father. In his memoir, Obama mentions he missed out on playing time in high school basketball because his coach preferred players who play like white boys do, quote unquote. In fact, Obama had to work hard just to make the team, and race had nothing to do with it. And when you get into all these things in detail, what becomes obvious is that all of these lies and composites and whatever other techniques that one uses in memoir now have been created to make Obama out to be a victim. He's a victim of an unstable family. He's a victim of a white-oriented basketball coach. He's a victim of the Brits who put his grandfather in jail and tortured. He's a victim here and a victim there. And all of this also is to explain his rage and to justify the range. But this, Toby Harnden writes about this in the I think the UK Telegraph or the Daily Mail, I'm not forget which, Telegraph, writes that Maraniss also casts a skeptical eye on Obama's grandmother's tales of racism in Kansas, doubting whether she was ever chastised for addressing a black janitor as Mr. or ridiculed for playing with a black girl. That didn't happen. Obama himself, according to Maraniss, deliberately distorted elements of his own life to fit into a racial narrative. And Maraniss doesn't understand why people are interested in this for the reasons that they are. Maraniss says that Obama himself deliberately distorted elements of his own life to fit into a racial narrative. The author writes that Obama presents himself in his memoir as blacker and more disaffected than he really was. The memoir accentuates characters drawn from black acquaintances who played lesser roles in his real life, but could be used to advance a line of thought while leaving out or distorting the actions of friends who happen to be white. Dick Opar, relative by marriage to Onyango Obama and senior Kenyan police official, gave what Maraniss judged to be the most authoritative word. People make up stories. If you get arrested, you say it was the fight for independence, but they're arrested for another thing. That was about the grandfather. He was arrested, but it wasn't because he was working with the Mau Maus and opposing colonialism and all that other stuff. So, anyway, well, that's your term, Snerdley, race-obsessed manipulator. Snerdley said that. And Snerdley has 100% slave blood. Don't have to make it up. Snerdley is certified. Right. He's certified to criticize. He's our official Obama criticizer. He's certified to criticize. 100% slave blood. What was you don't need? Okay. Calm down in there. I got it handled here. Snerdley is screaming at me over the IFB. Who is it that makes up blackness? Why do you have to make up blackness? That's a good point. We could ask blue-collar Joe Biden. I mean, Joe Biden's out there now ticked off that Obama's saying that he's a blue-collar guy. Here, grab soundbite 17 before we get to soundbite 35. We had this earlier in the week. Obama is out there telling everybody that his vice president is a blue-collar guy, knows what it's like to work, and Biden is ticked off about this.
My dad never worked in a food fair. My dad never wore a blue collar. LeBrock makes me sound like I just climbed out of a mine in Scranton, Pennsylvania, carrying a lunch bucket. No one in my family worked in a factory.
So Biden is intent. Everybody knows that his family never did a day's work in their life. Never worked. Blue collar? Who do they think you're kidding? My family didn't wear blue collars. So Maraniss doesn't understand why all this is important to people. Now, I want to go back to one of our all-time top 5 sound bites on this program. It is from October 30th, 2008, The Charlie Rose Show, Charlie Rose and Tom Brokaw. Now, you've heard it, but you say, well, I'm going to play it again because, remember now, these guys say that they know Obama principally from his books. That's how they know Obama. In admitting here they don't know anything about him, they say that all they know came from his books, which Maraniss has now exposed as not factual. Here's the soundbite.
I don't know what Barack Obama's worldview is.
No, I don't either.
Know how he really sees where China is.
We don't know a lot about Barack Obama and the universe of his thinking about foreign policy.
I don't really know. And do we know anything about the people who are advising them?
You know, it's an interesting question.
He is principally known through his autobiography and through very aspirational speeches.
I don't know what books he's read.
What do we know about the heroes of Barack Obama?
There's a lot about him we don't know.
It's an interesting question. It's an interesting question. Charlie Rose says, I don't really know. We know anything about the people who are advising him? Brokaw. It's an interesting question. They're two journalists. Their job is to find out stuff for us. Journalists. It's a lot about him we don't know. Your job is to find out, tell everybody else. And they admit here that, well, basically all we know is what's in his autobiographies. And Maraniss has taken care of that for us. So the bad week of Barack Obama has morphed into a bad 2 weeks and looking now to a bad month. And now we got Fast and Furious and everybody with the big question, what's Obama hiding? That's a question asked and asked again. What is Obama hiding by claiming executive privilege on Fast and the Furious?